Hello everyone. In this series, we are going to create all sorts of web UI components. I had this thought the other day that whichever site you visit, the same components come again and again. Like Facebook, whatever site you go, there will be um, a navbar or a drawer. And how I see web UI components, I see them as just as a rectangle. Everything is a rectangle filled with space and text. I was categorizing the web components like navbar, hero section, footer. So everything. So this is the footer for GitHub, and there is a pricing page. So this is not completely unique to GitHub. You might have seen this a lot of times. This is a testimonial part. It goes on, right? So whatever we see, this is not specific to GitHub. So this type of pricing comparison between the plans. So this component, and we have some fixed sticky heading for this section, this text and etc. So whichever page you go, and then we have this FAQ section. So what I observed is internet is filled with web pages, and web pages are filled with the UI components. And when we categorize, my bet is that there are going to be some 100 types of UI components with some variations. So that's what I plan to create everything as I go along. Whenever I get time, I'm planning to create navbar, these FAQ sections, etc. Pricing, so this is like maybe a feature section. And then I stumble upon this Tailwind UI. This is actually a premium product by the creators of Tailwind. Have been using this for my side projects. Actually, we are going to have this as a starting point for it. As I said, we have some, for example, this feature section is something we saw here, and then we have this testimony section. So we have this pricing section. So this card looks exactly like the card here. Not exactly, nothing is exactly similar, but resembles a lot. So let's have a look at the project, the initial starter project. So this is the initial starter project. So to begin with, go to this repository and clone the branch starter. Let's have a quick walkthrough about what we have already. So I have installed Storybook into the project. I'm also using TypeScript, so we'll be using types. We are also using Node.js. I actually have a small framework like something here. Utility first classes. For example, here I'm looking through. So before that, I need to show this. So this is our design system. So this is our type scale. It starts from text XS to text 9XL. We can include, if we want, we can include in between also. Tailwind CSS is doing that. This is inspired by Tailwind CSS, obviously. So their type scale starts from text XS to text 9XL. They have font size and line height given. So we are doing it here. We have our font size and line height. So I have these variables also, so that we can, if we want, so this is we are going to do in a utility first fashion, but we won't shy away. If we want to create a component, a custom CSS, we won't shy away. But the thing is, we will consume the values from this variables file, so that things won't go too wrong. Any value we choose for the text size is going to be among these discrete values we have here. And we have the spacing we use to create padding margin. We also have negative ones, and this is our color palette. I have the primary color as what these guys have here, this color, and this is what I'm going to use for all the components we are going to create in this series. And for secondary color I have this green. I seriously have no idea why I came up with that, but we may change this. The point is, when you work with for a client, we can use the same format to provide them a design system with the type scale, colors, including everything that says what the brand looks like. For example, here we have the even the border radius too. What else? And I have created some basic required utility classes. Here we are creating padding top, along with the breakpoints too. Here we have the breakpoints 0. It starts from extra small, small, medium, large, and extra large. And as you can see, we the utility classes use min width. So this every class we have here are mobile first. For example, if we have P2 and SMP4, for small and above the screen sizes, the padding is going to be 4, and anything below small is going to be 2. So the default P0 is going to be the smallest, and anything we have will overwrite the upper the larger screen. So that's all about the CSS we have. We will have a look at it later. As we go, we will be using all these classes. I wanted to keep it minimal, but I don't know. Then I have some scripts here. So to create the components, we use this to create the actual component file, TypeScript file, the stories, and then the test file for this. And these are the templates we use for that. Once we finish this series, there could be any number of components. I may keep doing it whenever I have free time, as I said. When you finish this, we will start looking the structure along with the responsive screens also. For example, if you look at it, and also we have this layout classes too for the flexbox, basic flexbox utilities, and for the grid we have the grid column count, row count. We can mention the spans, column, row, etc. Order, gap too. So let's take this one and create. There is also one more challenge here. I will explain it. So the first component, let's create a folder here, team sections. Okay, and this script expects two values. One is the component name and another one is the path inside the components folder. So let's not think too much, and let's give team section 1. If we don't give this one, it will create the component directly inside the components. That's how we have in this script. You can modify it however you want. That's how I do it. Team sections. Okay, so let's start. So this is the whole section. We'll be creating a sub component for this card. Let's start with the heading. The good thing about utility for CSS is that I compare this with building mock screens in Figma or Sketch. It's going to be much more quick like that, also easier and much more efficient as we are directly using CSS. Okay, so we have our one component going on here. It is still heavier, so let's use 700. The font we are using is supporting these many weights actually. We don't have all the weights from 100 to 900. We missed the 100, 500 and 800. So we have to, we will actually, when we, I'm also planning to create a design system document for this project where we'll be mentioning all this stuff. So this is 700. I think 700 looks okay. And the description is a grade 500, I guess. And text small. Text small looks too small. Let's take this away. And it has some margin top. Let's give it margin top 2. It looks okay to me. So let's create another component for this card. So as we create this, the document keeps getting populated. So there's an image to block text and then to font awesome. I have also configured font awesome in this project, so it will work. So image dot, so the width is going to be full, whatever the grid allots to this place, the width will take everything, and the height will be fixed. So this is a class I have, and oops, let me just quickly show the variables we have for that. So dimension, so this is what the numbers we have for height and width. You can use 12 RAM, 14 RAM, 16 RAM. I have used 14 RAM and full width. And also I have some assets here I took from Unsplash. Okay, the height is working. Height looks about the same. So we have another class called object cover, which is basically object fit cover and rounded. So this one actually I'm going to make a little bit, this actually looks like not a text level font weight, but I would say it's 500, but we don't have a 500. Let's start with a font weight 600, and let's see, for the next one we are going to give our primary color. We can actually give a max width for the image, max width, but I don't want to do that because when the grid alerts more than the space, it's going to look awkward. So I'm going to let it free, fluid, the image, and let the grid control that. Let's also create this font awesome icons, and we will have some margins, and we'll be done. If we use a solid icon, we have to again use a solid icon. In amateur sites we can see this mix of the regular versus solid icons, which makes it look very bad. Okay, so we got the icons here. Let's reduce the color to gray 500. And also I assume when they have these icons that they are going to be like clickable, maybe pointing to this the team members Twitter and LinkedIn accounts. So we have to make it clickable. Okay, let's start with giving some padding and cursor pointer. So everything we type here, I type here, they are actually inside. For example, cursor pointer points to this utility class, which is basically cursor and pointer, which changes the cursor. And we also have other classes here which does other stuff like auto, default, weight, text, etc. So right now when you hover, it makes it look like it is there, the icons are clickable. So that's a great start. And in some websites, people, it's a very simple thing to miss. When something is clickable, we have to mention, we have to give that clue that it is clickable. If the color changes a bit, it looks a lot more better. And I have some other classes here for hover. This is the class we are using, type, gray, 500 and everything. We can also use the same color names with the BG, and here we need to use a hover text. So the initial color is gray 500, and I'm going to use hover text gray 800. Let's see. Okay. Maybe it is a bit. Oh, what happened to this guy? Okay, somehow the cursor pointer went away. But this is too dark. Still good, but I want a subtle change happening. Okay, so I'm actually good with the icons here, and oh, it is ugly that the icon is not aligned with the text here like this. This is much more beautiful. So we cannot actually give a whole padding to the icon. Maybe the padding can be changed into py, which is top and bottom, and I will give some padding r, which is right. So we give top, bottom, and right. Okay, I think it's good. So let's give some margins here. Too far actually. Still too far. Okay, actually this looks okay to me. We separated the text with the image with some margin, which is I think half rem. I'm okay with it. It doesn't look as good as this one for some reason, but I'm going to have the card this way. Let's move on to create the grid. So we have the card here, and actually before moving, let's bring we have just hard coded it. Let's bring this from the story, and let's also bring the picture. For that, let's import the picture there. So here we are actually simulating the this component is, we are making it as dumb as possible. It just receives the data and it just displays. It does not do much. I think we are good. And one more thing is that these are clickable, so we need some URL coming in. Maybe we'll do it. We'll do it afterwards. Not. It feels overwhelming to me. So we have the card ready, and when we go to docs, we can see how to use that card. So this is how we use that card. So we grab that, we come here. Let's create a grid with grid calls 3. Let's import this 6 times. Okay, looks okay to me. Let's give some gap 1, which is 1 rem, and let's give some margin above this section, margin top 2. They have ample space here, so 4. Okay, so looks okay to me. I'm going to import the picture here also. There are 2 ways to handle responsiveness using grid. So for this one, I'm going to use the first technique. We are right now giving hard coding the grid calls, which is not a bad thing, which works fine. For example, as I said, when we did not specify the breakpoint, it's going to be from the width 0. So from the width is 0, I need 1 column, and the width is extra small. I'm going 2 columns, small grid calls. I need 3. Let's see. So when it is very small, like 300-400 pixels, it's going to look like this. There is actually no space in the sides or top, right, which is intentional, because these components are going to live with other sections in the same page. So we'll be having the container along with everyone. So that's why we don't have space anything here for this one section. And when it goes to extra small, it it becomes 2, and it comes to small and above, it becomes 3. And if we feel that it is too wide, we can have other one also. LG grid calls 4 or 5. Okay, 4. This is large, and we have made it responsive. One more small problem which bothers me is that the aspect ratio changes drastically. When this is almost a square and we can see the portrait clearly, and when it goes down, it becomes a much wider picture, and I would say this is acceptable in most cases, but in upcoming section we will try to maintain the aspect ratio. In CSS there is no the aspect ratio is not yet supported actually. I think there is a proposal for aspect ratio, but it's not supported at all in any browser. So when we get this, we can directly mention some ratio or something here, and we can get it work. But right now the most famous technique is giving padding with a percentage of width. I don't want to overwhelm with this section. I'm going to wrap this section with this. I think this is doing okay. We will see, maybe we'll come back here and we'll make this along with aspect ratio. That's all for this section, but as I said, we will come back, we will revisit for some polishing. So thank you.